So how does he eventually take Howie Winter's spot?
So he takes Howie Winter at the end of the 70s. There is this, the entire like upper, I guess echelon is the right word to say. The entire like hierarchy of the Winter Hill Gang is involved with this horse racing scheme of they're going to fix horse races, basically, and they all get indicted. But they don't know that the indictments are coming yet. Steve Flemmi and his brother Vincent had long time been informants for the FBI. Vincent had kind of been a hitman for both the Irish mob and the Italians. Mm-hmm. He kind of went back and forth, but Steven was always, even though he was Italian, he was always more with the Irish. So Stephen Flemmi and Whitey Bulger kind of have this relationship. And Stephen Flemmi gets the word that everybody is going to be indicted. So he turns to Whitey Bulger and he says, like, let's make a deal. I've been an FBI informant. You can come in with me. We'll make this deal with the FBI. They'll take our names off the indictments. Everybody else in the Winter Hill Gang will go to prison and we can take over. Right. And that's what they do.
So why was Stephen Flemmi an FBI informant all those years? And what? So I feel like that doesn't get spoken about enough. Is that because you always think Steve Flemmi is Whitey Bulger's right-hand man. Whitey Bulger's a rat. Yeah. He had a relationship with the FBI. But the fact of the matter is that Steve Flemmi already had that relationship.
So Steve Flemmi had that relationship with his brother. His brother was an informant who, like I said, Vincent Flemmi was a hitman for both the Patriarca crime family, which was the Italian mob. They kind of ran North Boston. Yeah. The Patriarca crime family, their main kind of base of operation is Providence, New Jersey.
Yes.
Their underboss was Jerry Angulo, who... his base of operations was kind of the north end of Boston. So when you look at Boston, at least in the 70s and 80s, the north end was very Italian. And then what's called Southie, you know, is very Irish. So there was a while when Whitey Bulger controlled Southie, and then the Italians controlled the north. Right. And going back to the Winter Hill Gang, Vincent Flemmi was kind of able to be this everyone hitman and like take out whoever he wants because he had this relationship with the FBI. And since he was going back and forth between the gangs, he's kind of able to give the FBI information on both of them. So he's a very important informant for them. And I talked in my smaller breakdown about another gangster called Joe Barboza.
Yeah.
And Joe Barboza was an Italian. He specifically worked for the Italians. He didn't really work for the Winter Hill Gang at all. And Joe Barboza and Vincent Flemmi killed this Irish gangster, Teddy Deegan, together. And at trial, Joe Barboza lies and frames this guy.
Horrible story.
Their FBI handler, H. Paul Rico, was also notoriously corrupt. Later, he would go to prison for a gambling scandal. Mm-hmm. He was very corrupt, and basically he did not want Stephen Flemmi off the streets because he was getting this information on the mafia for him. But the police had a very good murder case against him. Yeah. I mean, he very clearly murdered this man, Teddy Deegan. So what H. Paul Rico does is he gets another gangster, Joseph Barboza, on the stand to
frame him.
To frame another guy, Joseph Salvati. So Joseph Salvati, an innocent man in Boston who had nothing to do with organized crime whatsoever, is framed for a murder of his gangster. He goes to jail for, I believe he didn't get out until like the early 2000s.
No, he did the whole sentence.
Right? Oh, he did the whole sentence, and it wasn't until later.
He did, yeah.
Joseph Salvati, the innocent man, plays kind of a large part in this book because the Whitey Bulger defense team kind of wants to keep bringing up Joseph Barboza by saying, like, this is everything with Whitey Bulger is an extension of this. It's not this one case of just this gangster paid off some FBI agents. Actually, this is a history of how the Boston FBI treats its echelon informants. And that it's a long history of doing corrupt things to make sure your informants stay on the streets. And it's actually the Joe Barboza case that convinces Whitey Bulger to become an informant, because Stephen Fleming is saying, look, my brother's an informant, and they got somebody to lie in court to protect him. So imagine what they'll do for you. So Howie Winter and the rest of the Winter Hill Gang, they all get indicted. Stephen Fleming and Whitey Bulger, their names are taken off the indictments. And now Whitey Bulger and Stephen Fleming kind of are in charge of this massive Irish enterprise. And when people talk about Stephen Fleming, they kind of make it seem like he was Whitey's right-hand man. Yeah. But it's very much so that they ran the gang together. It was it was a lot more of a partnership than it was Stephen Fleming was his right-hand man. So we get into the trial, and they try to bring up Joe Barboza, and the judge is
the book deals primarily with the trial.
The book is about the trial. It goes through.
So you should be clear. You made the point that he received information in 1994 that indictments were potentially or definitely coming down. He flees, and he's basically on the FBI most wanted list for about 16 years before he's captured. Why don't you talk about, before we get into the trial, set up what happened, how he went on the lam, and how he eventually was captured?
Well, that's the thing about the book, is that they don't go really into it that much.
No, I know, but just to give some context. I mean, it's a pretty.
I mean, he's captured in California with his girlfriend.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I mean, you don't find that interesting? Like, the guy was on the run for 15 years.
I mean, yeah, it's interesting. I actually remember. So I have a friend from Boston. When she was growing up, her dad used to like scare her, like, "Oh, you have to."
That's so fucked up.
It used to be, because this was back in the day when he was still on the loose. She was like, if you don't eat your vegetables, Whitey Bulger is gonna come get you.
Jesus Christ.
Oh no, I mean, he's on the run. He's living with his girlfriend in California for 16 years.
Apparently not a big deal.
I mean, no,
watch out for this guy. He's going to go on the run.
No, it is very interesting.
I don't know, whatever. He's on the run for 15 years, like everybody does. You hit that part in your life where you're hiding from the government for 15 years.
I'm going to be honest. I don't know how he lasted 16 years without confessing.
That's the point. It's insane.
It is insane. I don't really know how he was. I don't really know how he managed to do it.
No.
I mean, it's crazy. I don't really know if he had some secret. He definitely didn't divulge it.
What do you mean, in terms of if someone was protecting him that time?
Yeah, if someone was protecting him the entire time, he certainly didn't divulge it.